All right, who's starting this one off?
You can.
I can?
Yeah. I prefer you do it.
You
I
do?
generally only make fun of my friends.
Let me think.
I'll do it. All
right, you got something?
Yeah,
Of course you do. You always do. You're ready. You're ready 24/7
24/7.
with
Hello,
trying to
ladies and
humiliate
gentlemen.
people.
All
right.
I'm always trying to annoy people.
Go
Welcome
ahead.
to Tennis Sucks. We were going to start this off today with the usual banter of making fun of Graham or Graham making fun of me, but I have a really strict policy that I only make fun of my friends. And about 14 days ago, I decided Graham was no longer my friend. So he's become extremely inconvenienced by my dirtbaggedness of taking drinks out of his fridge and putting my items in his apartment. So he says there should be like a self-storage fee. Meanwhile, he sold me a car that he said had 50,000 miles on it at 62,000.
That thing's a beauty.
Charged me the same.
Luke, tell me right now, how nice is that white Audi out there?
And it's a beautiful white Audi.
Great. That's
by the
a
way,
pretty car.
You know what's amazing? If you turn it on right now, it's like an emoji screen. Every single thing is lit up. I've already taken it in the shop 3 times. With that said, yeah, that's it.
He buys a 10-year-old car that looks brand new, and he's upset. Look at that thing.
No one's
it's
that
upset.
No one's, that's the difference is you can't upset me.
That's a gem.
That's the difference. But anyway, we'll come around when, he gets off of his thing. And for the moment, yeah, just happy to be back in Crescent Lake. And we got a lot to talk about today, so let's get to it.
Been a minute. Let's start it off with the PPA, playing with Leia.
Okay, yeah, I'll start it off. So generally speaking, I think I've played really well with Leia this year. But boy, I was not good in San Clemente, which was a real shame because Leia was an absolute monster. She is playing so much better with that new Perseus. Leia struggled all year with finishing power. And with the Perseus, she's like a different animal. She's just snapping the ball off. She has way more confidence in her hand speed because in hand battles, the ball's coming off. So I wanted to reference and just kind of give her a shout out that I let her down there in San Clemente. I'm not sure why I was so bad, but man, I was bad. I sucked. When we played James and Anna, we had that one for sure. I think we were up 8-7 in the 3rd game, and I got a little tight. Drops were high. Wasn't feeling it for whatever reason. And
is that the first cold ball Dura you've played in a while?
Yeah, and I had like some problems with my paddles. Some of them had rattles in it, and they didn't feel right for whatever reason. So like over half the paddles I've been getting lately, and I think it's just a slight manufacturing issue, have had rattles in it, and I wasn't feeling the ball. So I'm not putting it on the paddle or the cold Dura. I'm not really sure, but let's just say things were going through my mind. I couldn't figure out why I was missing one drop middle of the net and the next one 4 feet over. But there's no doubt it took me a long time to get used to the conditions, especially coming from Texas where it was so hot and so humid. The ball was mush relatively. And when we went to San Clemente, man, it was fast. It came off really hard, and I struggled to adapt.
I had that same experience. I don't think it was even as cold when I got there for the next week for MLP, and it took me at least 2 days just to start getting balls to fall in.
Yeah, I was not a good player, and so I felt really bad because again, Leia was just awesome, and I let her down. I think we really had a good chance to push through that one, possibly go further, but I needed to be 10% better for her, and I wasn't.
If we ever open a facility, we're gonna jack the air down to 60 degrees in there at all times and only play Duras.
Yeah, I mean that's the best way to prepare
for tournaments
honestly.
Around the country.
And I talked to Steve about this. Something we're going to do moving forward, and I think the PPA is in line with this. It's one of the stupidest things that we do is they leave balls out like just sitting in the sun. Some balls are sitting in the shade. I can't express how much of a difference that makes in the way the ball responds. So Zane has commented on this on numerous occasions. The biggest fault of pickleball, or the biggest problem, is the inconsistency of the balls. The fact that the Duras go out around, they play so differently based on temperature. They're just inconsistent. So, hopefully in time, they're going to keep the balls apparently in a little fridge at like 72 degrees. So they're always the same. They come out, they at least play the same in the beginning. And yeah, they'll soften up because of the air, but at least out of the gates, you have some comparable response. And I think that's a small price to pay for a big uptick in quality of play.
I actually saw refs moving the balls out of the sun into the shade throughout the tournament.
Sure.
Like trying to find shade for the box of balls.
They have to. It's crazy. It's a necessity. I can't express, if people aren't familiar with this, there's no sport in the world where temperature makes a bigger difference on the ball's performance than in pickleball. It's insane. It can be a totally different game.
Do you think they'll just move a pickleball inside eventually?
I hope so. You know, we've talked about that with Steve as well. I think that's the long-term vision for MLP, is that everything is indoors, so it feels like a real sporting event. And they should, because again, you have a 10 to 15 mile an hour wind. That's such a huge factor and can literally determine who wins and loses the game based on who gets to win the toss and pick a side. And that's stupid. You know, it shouldn't be that way. I certainly like playing indoors more. I think it increases the quality of play. It's a lot more fun for fans. So yeah, I think it'll go that way without question. Oh, and one more part. Tyson, got to give him credit, man. The guy in San Clemente, I played him, and he routed me up pretty good in the singles. Was playing insane. Pretty much walked through the draw to a win. I don't think he lost a game all week, and was playing unbelievable, roping forehands. So credit to him. He's obviously put in the work. He's fit as can be, and played very, very well in San Clemente.
All right, moving on to MLP.
Last one. Sorry, Matt and Riley.
Jeez, today. He said he didn't have much to talk about. We're on the first topic.
I'll stop talking.
No, please.
No, I'm good.
I want to hear this.
Matt and Riley went to 5 games with Ben and Colin in the final, which was the best they'd done with them all year. And then directly after, Matt beat Riley twice at MLP, Mashers against the Hard Eights. And then, funny enough, Riley dropped him directly after the event. And I do want to say this, like, I actually said at one point that Matt could no longer beat Dylan and JW. I was wrong. Like, he beat them there. So I told Matt I'd give him his due. You know, the right-sided demon, chopped him up one time there. So anyway, that's that.
Well,
I'm done now.
We can talk about that, but that was on our list. Riley.
The Riley
Matt.
drop?
It's coming up. Yeah, let's
you
save
wanna
it.
save
Let's
it?
save the
All right.
Rogaine right-sider for a little bit later.
Damn,
I
the
don't have
Hayden
any
Patrick
blue
win line
cards
is
for you.
rough. I'm using finasteride myself, and yeah, it's not working.
You got a discount code for that?
I do actually, yeah. There's a guy on tour who works for like a hair company. He's getting it to me on the black market.
Oh no, it's like from India or something.
No, I get it from CVS. From this, like, you have to go in there and you say "Fina," and she's like, "What?" No, I'm just kidding. It's the real shit.
All right, well, let's talk about MLP then.
Okay, go
San
ahead,
Clemente
Graham, you
recap.
talk. You go.
No, start it up. I got plenty to talk about.
San Clemente recap. Well, our GM went silent like a week before the event. Was probably like
Who
the
is
most
this
negative.
GM?
Was probably like the most negative GM you'd ever have on the sidelines.
Does he get paid per word now?
I didn't get paid at all. At this point, he should pay the players. But yeah, so he was not great to be around. And then, yeah, we came out really cold. I put it on myself. Kyle was for sure tight in the first match. I think everyone has first match jitters a little bit. It certainly impacted me. And Kyle, in practice, hadn't missed a drop all week. I think he missed 3 in that game. And I lost 4 or 5 hands battles where I was a little jumpy. So we lost to Andre and Matt. And ultimately, we ended up losing to the Mashers. But, you know, we had Viv in Georgia, Vivian coming off an injury. That was kind of our powerhouse. They had a great time. We had a great team, but they didn't really perform as we hoped. They ended up going 1-3 overall in gender. Kyle and I also went 1-3 in gender. But, man, we had such a good fucking time. Like, what a great group of people. Kyle was such a stud. People that think this guy doesn't have it anymore, I tell you, he's got it. For as little as he'd been playing, like, he has so many fucking tricks up his sleeve. And maybe the most positive partner I've ever played with. Like, the guy was just an absolute stud. So fun to play with. We had an unbelievable comeback against the Hustlers. We were down 20-13 to Tyson and Rafa. And you would think he would be down. He wasn't down one bit. I wasn't playing very well. He wasn't playing very well. We ended up reeling off 9 in a row. Like, not 9 with side outs and this and that. 9 in a row to end the match. And yeah, he won mixed in that match. We ended up losing close in a dream breaker. I had a pretty easy look at 17-17 against Tyson. And then, you know, the match of the week, fucking the Kyle fucking Yates takes down the Newmans, the Hard Eight. So it's a win or go home, basically. We're 0-2. We think we have no chance. We know we have to either go 4-0 or 3-1 against the Hard Eights to have a chance. The women win for the first time. Is that right?
Yeah, it's our
first only women's win.
We didn't have any gender wins for, like, I think it was like 12 or 16 matches. Until
It was 16.
until this weekend.
Yeah. And so they ended up beating Lauren Stratman and Lindsay Newman. Then Kyle and I lost 22-20 against AJ and Riley and really had chances. 2020, I had like a hands battle point with 5, boom, 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 boom. And AJ shanked a few out there, got lucky. So we lose that one, and I'm just pissed. Now, then we play AJ and me, myself, and Georgia. Georgia, my favorite partner ever, play AJ and Lauren Stratman. And I never lose to AJ in mix, so it was like, easy cooking. 21-17, 21-16, something like that. And then the crazy thing about that is, I want to be clear, like Georgia and I were definitely the #1 mixed team on our squad. I'm about to put Georgia and I, because we get to say who we play in mixed, against Riley and Lindsay. And Kyle walks up to me and he just goes, I want Newman. And I'm like, no, Georgia and I are going to play. He's like, I want Riley. I got him. Like, okay, you can have him. And sure enough, guy just balled out, man. I mean, talk about huge balls and crunch time. Like I said, winner go home. So he had to pull off essentially a huge upset for us to get through to the quarters, and he did it, and I think it was one of like the most enjoyable moments I've ever had at MLP. Great shit talk with Tim Parks, the owner of the Hard Eights. He was coming at me hard, calling me challenger level, and I don't belong on the court with AJ, and I don't belong.
Is he one of the most emotional
He's like a
you've ever
5-year-old.
seen?
He's like a 5-year-old child.
It's wild.
Yeah, he's a baby.
I wish I would have recorded some of the sideline action with him, because he was taking his hat off,
Yes.
tearing his hair out.
He's incredible.
But
isn't that what you want? Like guys that care that much?
He cared too much.
Too much.
I don't know if it's possible, but I wanted to put him on
For
suicide.
you to say that
I
means
wanted
a
to put him
lot.
on suicide watch. I was like, someone please Baker act this guy, because after the match, you saw him. He was.
Well, I took a video of him and then I sent it to him like, better luck next time.
I'd never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
I actually went up and gave him a hug, and he accepted the hug, like a long hug.
You gave a hug?
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, hey,
Wow,
man,
Graham.
if I was on the other side, I get how you're feeling. And I go thinking, okay, I'm going to give him like a little pat on the back, full-on hug, and it lasted a good 10 seconds.
I want you to know I've never hugged Graham. I mean, guys,
Thank God.
one of the closest friends used to be that I had, and I don't think I've ever hugged him. So, Tim, you won up to me, buddy. Good for you.
Georgia gave me a hug this weekend, too. She's like, I
Georgia's-
know you hate this,
She gives
but
great hugs.
that's a win.
She gives great hugs.
That was a big, but yeah, watching Tim Parks just
Amazing.
turn into a little child was.
Yeah, so anyway, we
Worth
lost
it.
quarters. We lost to ATX. Our girls were up 20-17 against the Kawamotos. Kyle and I think, up 15-14 against JW, and Dylan had a lot of chances, a lot of really good points, just didn't pull it out. And then George and I kind of shit the bed. Gabe came out. He was so tight in the men's doubles, and then he really loosened up in the mixed and played very well. So we ended up going out in the quarters. That was the Florida Smashes eventful San Clemente.
That's my favorite team to date.
No question.
Even though we only went 1-4.
Yeah.
It was a lot of
1-3.
fun.
Yeah.
Everyone was
1-3.
extremely. Oh, sorry, 1-3. Everyone was
1-3.
really excited.
Yeah,
And-
awesome time.
Yeah.
I think Vivian and Georgia, like we knew that going in. They had to basically go dummy for us to really have a chance to go far, and I think they were on the cusp of that. It just didn't work out, And but would I go to battle with that team again? Any one of those people, 100%.
I would
Like,
repick that team again.
I would repick that team again.
Yep, same.
Yeah.
I like them a lot. So shout out to Vivian and Kyle. Thanks, guys. That
Yeah.
was amazing.
Yeah, sorry about our GM.
Oh, I had a great time with the other players in the team. We really bonded. Close relationship now, texting back and forth.
Wow.
That might be why I don't
That
have
make-
enough time
that
to
makes sense.
answer Travis's calls
Yeah,
right now.
that makes
I'm
sense.
so busy with the rest of the team and
That
how
makes
well
sense.
it's going.
Yeah, no, that goes a long way.
All right, real quick. I know you don't want to talk about this, but MLPalooza.
Of course, I want to talk about this. I picked the team.
All right.
The greatest upset team in history.
I'm giving you kudos. Our
Oh
team,
my God.
our team was the best team there. Best team in MLPalooza, no question. Brooks
You're welcome.
Wiley,
Awesome.
Orange Blood, amazing. I don't think the guy lost. Mikey.
Mikey's unbelievable.
I don't think
steal
he
of the
lost
third
the
round.
match. And then Julian, besides playing
Julio.
with me, or Julio, also won almost every match he played.
Julio's a stud.
I was definitely the weak link on our team, and we went to the finals, and we got to a dream breaker. Julio had it on his paddle. The opposing team hit a shank for a winner at 21-20, and then I had to go against James Blake, the end of the dream breaker. And
I actually have the videos now on my phone.
oh, really?
Uh-huh.
Just-
I just got it right
Just
now.
straight past me 3 times in a
Well,
row.
you actually bullshitted that one because you said he passed you like this, this, and this, but it's not true. On match point, the winning match point for them, you hit a good return, he hits a ball right to you, and you shank a volley across court, and then he runs up and passes you.
I said I volleyed a couple. in one of them.
You shanked it. But anyway,
Shank is a great volley.
it's an obvious shank.
But he hit great passing shots.
He's a great player. I mean, the fact that you were in there and did as well as you did, I
was
think is really impressive.
I was 5-7 up to that point
incredible.
against him. That's not bad.
Not bad. It's incredible.
The guy's an athlete. He
You
was
fucking
jumping.
think?
He jumped. Does he look good on film? Like on film?
I
you're
haven't
like,
watched it yet,
oh,
but
okay.
he was such a freak when he played tennis, and the word that I'm hearing is like the guy hasn't like barely lost a step.
Yeah, he could jump. Like he was jumping. It felt like as tall as I was. He was
Yeah.
jumping 4 feet in the air.
No, it's a joke. I mean, he's still so much more athletic than I ever was or ever will be. It makes me upset.
Yeah, but my big regret is it happened so fast.
Mm.
It's like those 3 points happened before I even knew what was going on. I
That
could have
happens
really
in
used
that
a coach.
format, though.
I could have used a coach there
Sure.
to give me a little strategy. Like, hey, he's staying back now. He's not coming to the net.
Right.
Try bring him to the net. See if we
What
can do
did Viv
something
have
there.
for you? Did she give you anything or
No,
nothing?
no one timed out. No one gave me advice. But Viv was the best coach of all time.
Yep.
So positive, so in it. She was
super
there for
enthusiastic.
practices, everything.
That's awesome.
And she did give me a great advice. I had been missing what I felt like were winners into the tape, even when I went 5-7. Like I was hitting some great shots. They were catching tape. And she said, hey, you're lifting while you're hitting your ground stroke. Stay down. And it was
Very good
actually
one.
great advice because from that point on, I didn't miss any more in the tape.
You stayed down and threw the
I
ball.
stayed down through the ball and hit those better, but it still wasn't enough.
Nice.
So sorry I let my team down. I wish I had a timeout or more strategy for James Blake. I think I could have done something, at least gotten one of those. But getting to the finals, we got to the finals easily, Travis. We went 3-1, 3-1, and 4-0.
Yeah.
And the team just
Yeah,
dominated.
the most fun I actually probably had at the event is I got a little sauced on Sunday. I had to leave to come back to be dad, which is why Graham stopped talking to me apparently, because he'll never understand what having a child
I
is like.
just need a break. That's all.
Oh,
I know what it's like having a child. I've got you as my best friend.
That's actually a good point. But yeah, so I had to leave. But Graham was playing Amir Delic, who he thinks he has zero chance against, and I thought he had zero chance against.
You told me zero chance.
Zero. Well, then he comes up to me and says, Amir just beat me 2-on-1 down there. The guy's hitting the ball way harder than you. He's way better than you. We have zero chance. So Gary and Gary Farrell, the owner of Sunday Swagger, who shout out to Gary, you're the fucking man, a real homie. Anyway, we're getting sloshed. Okay, Gary is fucking having it the time of his life. And we see Graham not performing that well at that moment against Amir. I think they're down something like 13-8, maybe. And so Gary and I run down to the court and we start just fucking hollering every point. He's overrated. He's all flash. He's got no substance. Blah, blah. Just being assholes. And sure enough, here comes Graham, and Amir starts missing a few balls, looks a little tight, and Graham pulls out the dub. Okay, and that is the biggest upset in MLP history. He beat a guy who's won sets off Djokovic. I just want to explain that.
Our 1-2 doubles and 3-4 doubles did not lose.
Incredible.
It was incredible.
And this is the thing too, is Graham was so upset about me, at me for picking the team that I did. He was giving me so much shit. You picked a team that's working. These guys don't even care. They're not even paying attention. I was like, hey, just look.
It was a great team. And I bet on 3 teams. I bet on Amir Delic. I bet on us. And I bet on the Georgia Peaches, James Blake's team. And got paid out for 2 of them because 2 of those teams got to the finals. And the only reason I picked those
Feel like I should
teams
get a cut.
is because their odds were so high.
Feel like I should
Like
get
the
a cut.
payouts were like 14-1 or something. Like
Crazy.
James Blake's got to be decent.
Yeah.
He's got to have a chance to win this thing. And sure enough, he dominates.
Yeah, I would have only put money, honestly, on James and Amir's team. Like the fact that we had money on our team, that's really good. I would have, I swear. That's what I would have done. I would have been wrong because from my view, I knew I had a solid team. I didn't know how good until I saw Mikey start to play, and I was like, holy shit. And Julio's improved a ton.
Yeah. We should have
Fucking-
won it. I'm telling you, in the finals, we should have won it in a bunch of ways.
And I don't think
we let it go.
Julio ever wanted to beat anyone more than Richie Toison, so he was so juiced
Oh,
on
he
that
was so
one.
pumped.
Yeah, because Richie was giving him so much shit about how bad he was, and then Julio was like, I'm going to fucking kill this guy.
All right. I don't think people care so much. The
Well,
story is
Adams
James
does.
Blake
Yeah.
is a good pickleball player. I'm sure you're all shocked.
Yeah.
The guy's an athlete.
All right, moving on.
Congrats. Yeah, moving on. So I have in here Smash overall standings. So we currently sit
6?
kind of no, out of 24.
Oh.
We currently sit kind of right in the middle. We're
Yeah,
tied
11,
for like 11, 12, 13.
Sounds right.
We're technically 13th because of point differential, but we're talking about a couple of points. So
Right.
let's call us 12th.
Sure.
So
right
we're
there.
right on the cusp. We've got to be top 12 to make Premier, we think.
We got that.
Top 12 for Premier next year. So all we've got to do now is get hopefully top 6 in Challenger.
Yep.
But I want to win Challenger. I want to be like the team that shows up on finals, is there on Saturday.
Well, see, that's the interesting thing because I want to too, but in order to do that, you have to take a flyer. That's the only way to do it because other teams are going to have that flyer. And whoever takes that flyer that's a performer is who's going to be up there on Saturday and Sunday.
Okay, so let's talk about that. The Challenger draft is coming up. The draft in period is coming up.
Well, I don't want to talk about names, but
I know, but it's in New York.
Yeah.
It's coming up. And we have a strategy. I don't think it's like, some secret strategy. And it's tough to tell who we're going to pick because we don't even know who's going to be available for Challenger draft because they draft Premier first, and then we figure out who's left over. So I guess talking about that, it's in New York. It's on July 12th. It's in the Woolman Park where they changed the ice skating rink into pickleball courts. Yep. They're going to put out little cabanas for us to sit at.
Very cool.
And and make our picks, which I'm excited about.
Right.
So I guess what I wanted to ask you was, who do you think is going to move up from Challenger to Premier, and who do you think is going to move down from Premier to Challenger? And I have a list of some names I'll go over. You tell me what you think, and then add some in there and tell me. Okay, so first off I have in there is Christian Alshon, possibly moving up.
I think he's on the cusp. I mean, he's obviously shown himself to be a great singles player and I think a good doubles player. I think in that format, he's a better doubles player than maybe your standard format just because it's faster and more energy based. So he's.
But is he one of those like guys that's practicing all the time and has like more upside and just hasn't hit it yet? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if he has the softest hands necessarily, but he's definitely got great athleticism and a lot of skills. So I wouldn't be surprised to see someone take a shot on him.
I feel like he's toned down his persona a bit. Am I wrong about that?
No, I think he has. I think he's definitely gotten a lot more professional in the last few months and been just generally more focused as opposed to.
Yeah, I don't hear the screaming. I still see the tweeners. He loves the tweener, but he's not so much a showman. I think he's taking the game more seriously, like you said, more professional. All right, what about Connor Garnett?
He's got to come up.
Coming up for sure.
He's got to.
Okay, Joe Braverman.
She's coming up 100%.
Yeah.
I honestly, I think she might even be like a second round pick.
Oh wow, second round.
I mean, from what I watched, she was really, really good. She played very well. I could be overshooting her, but I only have a small sample size. But what I watched, she was very, very good.
So as a GM, if you were a GM, which you're not, you have no say in this, would you take her second round in Premier?
I mean, it depends who's available.
Okay.
But I mean, it's probably more realistic. It's probably a third to fourth. But I could see her going that high just because, and we know this. There's certain players that they're built for that kind of pressure and intensity. And she actually had something that she said today on her podcast, which was pressure like that can either improve or decrease your performance by 15%.
15%, yeah, I saw that.
She's not wrong. And hers increases. She plays better under pressure, and then there's people like, I don't know, like Tyler Loon, for example, who just gets super tight.
Okay, what about Vivian Glosman? Brand new to the sport, played Challenger, got called up. Do you feel like she's a potential for going up to Premier? Because I'm hearing whispers of that already.
I think she has the potential to do so. She's a super cool girl. Let's just start with that. Like, great personality. Fond of her. About 6 foot tall. I think I just referenced
She's 5'10", I think.
She's bigger than that, trust me.
Oh, she is?
She's fucking tall. No chance she's 5'10". Zero chance she's 5'10".
Okay.
If they can list her at that, then I'm 6'8". Okay. She's got some work to do. Backhand is really good. Hand speed is really good. Forehand dink needs work. I know she's a pharmacist, and I think has taken all those courses and so forth to ensure that happens. So I think it's a difficult thing to ask her to play full time. But if she does play full time and she's practicing on the regular, then she's a no-brainer.
She's long.
So long.
Yeah,
and,
she can cover a lot of net.
Yeah, Tara Black is another one that has Tyra. I believe it's Tyra Black.
Yeah,
is another one that's going Premier for sure. She showed it with Leia in San Clemente.
The Hurricane.
The Hurricane, man. She's got insane hands. What an athlete. You actually can't get through her. Like, if you're hitting an overhead and she's back, high-level tennis background, reads the play really early.
So you think
she's
she'll go up?
defending incredible. She's going to go up.
Pablo Tellez?
He's going up.
No-brainer, right?
I don't know if it's a no-brainer because I think it's hard to see who's going to go down. But yeah, I think he's going up.
What about our locals here, Megan and, well, they were local, Megan and Ryler?
I don't think so.
Ryler won the
He won it.
Supers.
He's playing with Connor. He also had Susanna Barr on his team, who I think is another girl who's going to be Premier. Look, I think Ryler's playing great. I just don't know if he makes that jump, if he's made that jump. And again, this is a small sample size in MLP. I think overall results, it's tough because he plays APP exclusively, so I don't really see him play that much, but I don't know if he's called up. I don't yet see he and Megan being called up.
All right, so let's talk more about going down. Like Kyle Yates may or may not even play.
Yeah,
he
may
shouldn't
not
be,
play.
but
I don't think Matt Wright's going to play. Honestly, I could see myself going down, and some people have commented on this, and it's true. There's a conflict of interest with me being a Florida Smash owner. I think if it's based purely on results and performance, then it's pretty clear that I shouldn't.
what round? What's your prediction on what round you go?
Well, third or fourth. I probably a fourth rounder. And there was a comment today, something that I shouldn't have picked myself in the third round by some nobody. And if you were like on the innards, you realize that there were other owners threatening to take me, which is why we took me third round. In hindsight, I wish we did wait till the fourth round. Probably would have been smarter. Florida Smash probably would have done better. But I think the idea that that I'm not at that level is kind of stupid. But yeah, I think there's a few guys that can go up and down that are close. I honestly think Rafa Hewitt, like, he didn't have a great performance recently. I'm still of the belief that since he switched to the Adidas paddle, he's really struggled. Even in PPA events, mixed and or men's doubles. And I like Rafa a lot. He's a really good player, but he just hasn't been playing as well as I'm used to seeing him play. Who else? On the downside, it's tough to predict. These are, like, people were saying Gabe and Hayden earlier in the year. That's definitely not happening.
They're both
Gabe and
they're
Hayden
both
were
staying premier.
awesome, and they're young and they're getting better fast. It's not like they've been playing the game for 8 years, like Tyler Loong, for instance, and maxed out their performance. Like, if I was that bad at something after 8 years, I would start bowling or something. But
hey,
yeah.
bowling's tough too. That's not easy money.
Yeah, I've been playing this game a year and a half, and I think I got a winning record against that guy. So just saying, like, pathetic. So anyway,
That's a lot of people. I'm trying to think of anyone else up in Premier that might scoot down.
Up in Premier that might scoot down. That's
Like,
tough.
they're just having really bad performances. I
I
can't.
mean,
I think they're all. I think for the most part.
Colin stays.
Who?
Colin?
I don't know if Colin's going
John?
to play.
I don't know if Colin John's going to play either. But I'd be interested because we took him so late, and a lot of people had passed on him. And look, I think Colin should be picked. I mean, the guy is really fucking good. I just wasn't good with him, which is my bad. But I don't know if he's shown enough in the mixed department on the reg, and that he can win with other people outside of Ben. So I don't know. He might get dropped.
By the way, I heard a rumor. It's probably true that Colin is now practicing more than Ben.
Oh, I believe it 100%.
Good couple hours more a day.
Yep.
They both practice a ton, is what I
Yeah.
hear. But that Ben now is addicted to padel.
Wow.
Interesting.
That he's playing padel a lot and is a big fan.
That's crazy. I could see that.
I bet he's good at it.
I'm sure he is. The guy's got phenomenal hands and just analyzes things.
So
Yeah.
that's something I want to see now. I want to see some ping pong out of Ben, and I want to see some padel out of Ben. And the other thing I forgot to mention was I'm in the tent getting worked on by Dr. C, taking, my owner privileges, working on my elbow a little bit before my match, my MLPalooza match. And the other guy in there, it's just me and Ben. And Ben says to me, you nervous, Graham? I'm like, huh? The guy's probably never said a word to me in his life.
Yeah.
Are you nervous? And I'm like, no, I'm ready. He's like, you sure you're ready? You sure you're not nervous? And I'm like, well, what's going on right now? I think the guy was like playing mental games with me before I
sure
even
he
got out
was.
for MLPalooza.
Yeah.
What an ass. Thanks, Ben. No, I was ready to go, okay?
Yeah, he's actually pretty lighthearted for the most. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know him at all, but seems pretty lighthearted. Seems to have a,
But yeah, he was
I don't-
razzing me,
I
man.
don't-
I
I
needed
don't
you
know the
there
guy.
too. I needed you. I think
yeah.
I just was getting fire
only-
from every angle.
Well, you know why I wasn't there.
Yeah, I know.
Beyond reasons.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Don't get me started.
All right. So the next thing I want to talk about, and it just falls in conjunction, is the what's that?
Matt and Riley
Yeah.
breakup.
The Matt and Riley breakup. Huge news.
So,
Huge.
I want to talk about this. Like, I've become a huge Matt Wright fan. The dude and I talk every day about pickleball. It's crazy. I don't know how we formed this little friendship, but we
It's
have.
because you're both assholes.
Yeah, it's probably true. I'm all for that. I'm a total asshole. Honest, but a fucking asshole. And I think he falls under that same category.
Yeah.
And
You're loved to be hated.
sure. Yeah, a little bit. But he's also super smart when it comes to pickleball. And I am not, like I said, I've been playing this game for 18, 19 months. I don't know that much. And it's great to pick his brain. And he's fucking smart. And I feel like I'm learning things in my conversations with him.
And he played like a monster. In my opinion, played great in MLP.
Dude, he is a fucking great player. Like,
Everyone avoided him.
he's such
And when they did come to him, it was a mistake.
he is so conscious of error count. Like, he is not making fucking bad decisions.
Yeah.
And he's got great feel for the ball. and he's analyzing the game appropriately. And, you know, I'm a fan. So,
So we
I
kind of
think
thought
that-
this was going to happen,
Yeah, we
right?
did.
We had an inkling because we've been talking about you need to play more right side.
yes.
And if Riley notices you, once Matt and Riley break up, maybe he'll grab you as a right side
right-sider,
player,
sure.
right?
Yeah, I'd like to switch to the right. You know, I think that I'm a little old, and I think that I struggle with the backhand dink to some extent. I don't have it down pat. It's not very good. It can be exposed to some extent. And so something I'm working on. But if I move to the right side, my forehand dink, because I roll it more naturally, I don't have to worry about that. And I can just add a few shots and limit my movement for the day so my old ass isn't too tired. But he decided to. We knew that they were getting frustrated, obviously not beating the Johns brothers. So
Which is
something's
kind
gotta
of, it's
give.
a little bit crazy because everyone talks about this, how many medals they've won together.
Every
And
tournament.
I don't know that Riley's going to do better. This is
no,
my opinion.
I don't think he is.
I think that he's going to regret a little bit leaving Matt because
Yes.
it's nice getting silvers and bronze all the time. I don't
Right.
think you realize how difficult that is
Right.
this day and age and going forward. And so I think it's a mistake
Well-
personally, but we understand why.
We understand
He
why.
wants
And
to win
here's what I'll
golds.
say. Here's what I'll say. The players that he has that he's playing with apparently, I think are one. I don't think they're the right selections because I think they're all really high ceiling, low floor type players. Very, very erratic. You know, Julian is an amazing player, but when he's off, he's off. He can make 14 errors, and when he's on, he's pulling the trigger from 2 feet below the net off the bounce and hitting winners. And AJ is similar to that. Ignatovich is similar to that. And so I think he's going to have a few matches where he probably gets close or even beats the Johns brothers, but he's also going to have a lot of matches where he loses quarters and he loses round of 16 and he doesn't touch a lot of balls. And
Yeah, Riley, why are you not picking up Travis at least for an event or two? Let's
it's
see.
okay.
Let's see what the rattlesnake can do on the right side. The guy's he's a beast over there. I'm telling you.
it's okay. It's okay.
Someone get this message to Riley Newman.
No, it's okay.
Couple of tournaments.
I don't mind it. I got good partners lined up. I'm excited about what's coming. But yeah, sure. Would I like to play with Riley on the right? That would be fun. The guy's a fucking monster. But side note, I played with that Takea paddle. Holy shit, that thing's a rocket.
You played with two. Be honest. We played with 2 different ones.
Yes.
One was a rocket and one was a marshmallow.
Marshmallow.
So what? Probably a D-Lam. We're talking
It
about you're
had
playing
to
with the
be.
D-Lam.
It had to be.
All right. So you play with the D-Lam rocket. Great. But the new one that's coming out for Riley, I have a feeling is going to be a nasty paddle. I mean,
Yeah.
he's involved in the making of it. He went over to China
Right.
to see what he could get done
What
over
he could
there.
do. No, I think they have a lot of paddles coming. I think
Okay,
they're
so
putting a lot of money
then, all right, so Riley hasn't made the call to you yet. Shame on you, Riley. What about Matt Wright? What do you think about Matt Wright as a partner for you?
Well, Matt and I, he asked me for one event, but I am already booked up for that event with Hayden Patrick.
Oh, damn.
Wow.
And, we've discussed it maybe in the future,
You
but
sure
for now,
Hayden's not going to bail on you?
he will not. Hayden is a straight shooter.
Is that true?
Yes.
Okay.
Very much. He was actually dropped by Julian Arnold for that event because Julian got asked by Riley. And Hayden was cool about it. He's like, hey, I get it. Like, if Riley was asking me, I'd probably play with him too.
Exactly.
And I
That's
told him,
what's
I was
going
like,
to
hey,
happen.
nobody drops Hayden Patrick. Okay? Nobody. And let me tell you, I am never going to bro someone out harder or build someone up more than Hayden when I play with him in Seattle because
When
I'm
is
a
that?
fan
How
of the
far
kid.
away?
I want to say late July, like mid-July.
And
I'm
you're playing
stoked.
right side?
I'm going to play both, but probably right because I think
Okay.
he has a much better backhand dink than me. He can roll the two-hander.
Yeah.
But I'm stoked because my daughter is going to get to go with me. So
That's
that's
nice.
the first event that she's been able to go to. And, to be completely honest, long 6 months so far, I was feeling a little bit burnt and long stretch here, 16 days away from her for the last events. I wasn't liking that. And so to get her to be able to come with me is pretty cool. And we're kind of making a vacation with the cousins and all that because it's for my dad's memorial. And then we're going up to Seattle and all the whole thing. So it should be really nice.
Okay, so do you
Matt
think
maybe
there's...
down the line. I'm playing
Yeah.
with Steve in quite a few. Matt maybe down the line. He's going to keep me in mind as a partner. As I said, we're talking all the time about pickleball, so I think that's a pretty natural one. But ultimately, I want to switch to the right side
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
I don't think Matt wants to play full time on the left.
And I don't think you guys are going to do any better than Riley and him could do. And so it's like, what are you shooting for?
Yeah, sure.
You need to go right side, find a dominant left side
Right,
player,
right,
and
right.
go for some golds.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable expectation. If I don't know if I'm good enough from the left to make that push.
Can we talk about the...
Who is the right partner for Matt? Sorry, before we
You're
go
good.
on. If you were going to pick one person for Matt Wright as a left side partner for him besides Riley Newman, who is it?
That's really tough. I I don't think there's anyone that can match Riley on that front. So, you know, you got to go. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't understand the breakup. That's for me. He should stay with them. That's
Maybe.
my thought.
No, I understand. I'd rather risk getting first, try to get first, and maybe get some fifths than feel like I just can't beat this team with this particular player.
All right. But I don't think the player's out there for him to get that win, is what I'm saying.
But I think Jack's sock might be in time.
Oh,
I think that's what he's doing
play.
in time.
We'll wait for that moment.
Maybe.
Yeah. All right. Sorry.
No,
Luke.
you're good. You're good. I want to talk about the new way of calling out balls for MLP.
Yeah, so there were some really debatable calls in MLP. And I think, and don't quote me on this, but I believe that like Brooks put out a tweet that kind of showed the ball from a certain angle, that showed the sphere of the ball hovering above the line, and that was in, and that ball would now be called in. I haven't seen the tweet.
It was a poll. He polled
Oh,
Twitter,
he did?
and he said whatever the response is, that'll be the new.
Oh, come
way
on.
of
That's
Okay.
retarded. That's dumb.
Okay,
Sorry.
I didn't know that, but yeah, I mean, I think unfortunately the ball doesn't compress. There looks like some balls that were out that show space, but if you were going with the sphere above the line, then yes, they are in. But the ball doesn't compress, as we know, when it hits the ground. So there's actually no part of the ball touching
Right.
the line. I'm okay with either one. It just needs to be clarified.
It's like we're going back to the old rule that was changed a year and a half ago. It used to be you could call it out if you thought it was hovering over, right? Now you have to see space.
Uh-huh.
Now we're going back to, now they're trying to go back to.
I
It
wasn't
is.
familiar with the old rule, but
Yeah,
I
so
guess
they
that's-
changed the rule about a year. I think last year they changed it to you have to see space, like green space or blue space, for it to be called an out ball.
gotcha.
That's obviously not the case anymore. You don't need to see space anymore. They're reverting back to what the rule used to be, which is if you see the ball, you basically, I guess it's the same call in essence. We're going to show some video
Yeah.
from different angles, right, Luke? Let's
Yeah,
do
but
this
Either way,
afterwards.
We'll do
Let's
that.
film it.
it was a very decisive change because there was a match between the Mad Drops and the Pioneers, not the super final, but in group play, where it was the men's doubles was decided on a ball that Julian called out, and it was out. If you're based on the one where there's space, where you can see space. Another angle, the ball is above, the sphere of the ball is above the line, but it's not touching the line, and they overrule it. It was like, whoa, that's crazy. Then Hayden calls a ball out against Megan in the super breaker. It's out, same exact thing, and they overrule it. And it was just like, damn, this is. I didn't feel like it was right, but again, whatever rule is fine, just as long as that rule is clarified.
Yeah. Depending on what angle you're looking at. I think the best person to call an out ball is the angle that's kind of furthest away, looking towards the line
That is the
from
best
inside
angle,
the
for sure.
court, because then you can see the space.
Yeah.
If you're like a spectator on the line looking towards the ball, you definitely can't call it. And if you're down the line, it's difficult to call. You've got to be inside the court looking towards the line for the best angle to call a ball out, which is where Hayden was, which is where Julian was. They were in the perfect spot to make that call. And that's the camera angle I want to see for the replay
I
to
actually
make that
missed
call.
a call against Matt in the Mashers. I was right on top of it, and I thought I was out, but I was seeing it from the angle that I was out. I was like, oh, that looks like it was out. And certainly from the angle that Kyle was at, it was in. So it's very hard if you're right on top of the ball to tell.
Yes.
But from the angle you're seeing, like if you're actually, unlike tennis, if you're a partner and on the sideline, the partner can see it better than you.
And not only that, but if you're looking from right on top of the ball, you only have 1 millisecond to see that call.
Correct.
Whereas if you're at a different angle, you have the whole timeline to see it in and out, right?
Yes.
You have more time to see a ball from a better angle. That's where you got to be making the calls from.
Well, we got to clarify that rule so that next time, at least send out a memo to the players and let's get it clarified so that we all know what we're doing.
Agreed.
And then that's not the only change. You were talking, Graham, about changing the freeze in MLP.
Yeah.
Is that
They've been talking about this for a while because same argument as before. People feel, and I think Travis is in this pool of people who feel it's unfair to make the 1919 point so valuable, and also to see. Yeah, I think that's the biggest
So
argument.
that's where we're starting it now. Right now, there's a freeze at 18 for the teams coming back, which I think is confusing for a viewer. But the biggest point for me was 1919. If whoever wins that point is now up 2019. For the person that lost that point, they have to win 4 points in a row now. So if they win that next point, it's not 2020. They're frozen at 19. So the probability of the win, if you win the 1919 point, is insane. So now at any point, in order to get back to 2020, I have to win 2 points in a row at some point to get back to 2020. That's very hard to do. And so it's just an unfair rule. The logic behind it is that it makes it more confusing if you don't do it that way, if you don't freeze it. But that's not true, because every time that I play rec games, everybody's always surprised that they're frozen. Everyone's like, 2020, right? Oh, that's right. You're frozen. 2019. Nobody remembers. Even when we played Riley against the Hard Eights, he was surprised that it was 2019 still, not 2020, because they won the point at 1919, and then Kyle won the point at 2019, and he thought it was 2020. Nope. They're frozen. At no point should you be at 20 points to 20 points and not be at the same score. That's unfair. It's not reasonable. And it doesn't benefit me or anything to say this. It's just what I think is right for the game moving forward to ensure fair play. And I don't think it's confusing. The freeze in general, I think, is something that we all know. Steve knows. The scoring system is awesome for drama, but it's not perfect yet. And we don't know what that perfect is, because if you don't have to freeze at 18, well, then it favors the team that's behind too much. They can come back too easily. But if you freeze it at 18, then you have viewers, which I think is the most important portion, coming on like, hey, wait, why didn't that point count? Hey, wait, what's the score? Hey, wait, what's going on? And that's the biggest point. So, this rule was put into place.
The counter argument is they've done tests, and the winning percentage is not any greater or less than if you play normal scoring, even with the freeze. It's the same winning percentages, almost down to, running statistics on it. It does not make a difference. It does create more drama. It's a tough rule to. I mean, what do you want the rule to be changed to? Just freeze at 20?
Well, no. See, the rule is what's important is that, let's say I'm a casual viewer and I'm coming on and to watch pickleball for the first time, and I switch on CBS Sports and this is cool. I want to watch this, and I can't understand the scoring.
So then, what is the rule change? What should it be?
The rule change that I think it should be is that the only point that doesn't. You have to win the last point on your serve. That's it. That's the only rule. And where that becomes important, and I'm the only one who thinks this, but I think there's a huge advantage for the person that's behind.
So you only freeze at 20.
Like we used to, right? And then they changed that to a freeze at 18. But the difference is, what I think is, when you get to 2020, it goes right back to rally scoring. So let's say I'm the receiver and you've been behind and you're serving now at 2020. If I win that point, I'm up 21-20. It's 2 points in a row to win the match. That's it. So instead of having, because they go back to side out scoring, normal scoring when it gets to 2020, and then it takes forever. It's just too long. So I would like to see it. The only rule is you must win the last point on your serve. That would be awesome for spectators. Nobody would have any, what the hell's going on? Why doesn't that count? Why did the scoring system suddenly change? None of that. And that would be the easiest format.
So you freeze when you hit 20.
Yes.
And then when you're coming back and it gets to 20 all, they're both frozen.
No. It's back to normal rally scoring. So that way you had a huge advantage coming back.
Now it's tied.
But now the team who was way ahead, now I have an advantage at 2020 because I'm receiving. Right? So it at least gives me some advantage, because it used to be like the team that was coming back, they still have a huge advantage because now they can only score points on their serve at 2020. So now it's fair. But more importantly,
that's confusing to teach people too, though.
I don't think it is.
A freeze at 20, then an unfreeze when the opponent comes up to 20?
I don't think it is, because all it says is, again, is you don't even have to think about a freeze. All you're saying is you have to win the last point on your serve. The freeze becomes an irrelevant term. You have to win the last point on your serve. That's it. That's it.
Until it becomes 2020, then you don't.
No, you still do.
Okay, so now it's 21-20.
That never changes. It never changes. I have to win the last point on my serve.
Okay.
The rule never changes.
So it's a freeze. It's a freeze in essence.
It is, but it isn't, because all I have to do is win the point on my serve.
All right, we got to talk about this more. Move along.
All right. Well, last thing is rally scoring. I mean, the rumor is that the PPA will ever go to rally scoring.
We heard this rumor before. I think why it's coming up again is because Connor played in MLPalooza as an owner. Connor Pardo. Absolutely loved it. And I think said to some people, we're immediately going to rally scoring for the PPA. Do you believe that? You think that's going to happen? Is that a real change?
I hope so. What I want to see is just across the board, we all have the same scoring system. I think it'll keep the matches shorter and
more predictable.
More predictable from a time frame perspective. Right now you can have side out scoring matches that can go for an hour and a half, especially with how many matches we play in a day. Having it be rally scoring, I think is beneficial for everyone. I still think it's a better scoring system. It's more exciting. So yeah, I believe it.
I think what he has to do is he has to convince Ben and Anna Lee that they want it, and those two are a little bit against it.
Of course, they're against anything that's the status quo, because the status quo works so well for them.
Yeah, agreed.
How long do you think it will be before just general people rec play gets to that? I mean, we've seen people do MLP scoring and rally scoring just for fun here, but
I want to get it started here at Crescent Lake, but it's
We
tough.
do sometimes, yeah.
We do sometimes, but it's tough to keep it going.
Yeah.
It has to be a bunch of us. But no question, like we always said, when we play MLP format, people say it's the best pickleball they've
Yeah.
ever played.
I wonder if it'll just be, you decide at the beginning of the game. Like growing up when I played squash, we would decide, want to play American scoring, English scoring, and you just decided when you started playing.
I think that if PPA goes to rally scoring, you're going to see rally scoring on rec courts.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
two of the major,
what
the
for
two
sure.
major tours
100%.
are playing that way, that basically says this is how pickleball
Right.
should be played.
Right, and that's
Right.
all that will be
And then
done.
APP will follow suit
Yeah.
more than likely. And then now rally scoring, the old scoring will be lost in 5 years. No one will
Yeah.
even remember what it was.
Oh, that's happened to multiple sports before, though, right? So
I think we're going that direction. It just makes more sense in a lot of ways.
great.
Is that it?
Yeah, unless you want to talk about the submarine.
I don't know. Do you have any opinion on the submarine
People
thing?
want
It's
to know
just
what your
huge
thoughts
news.
are.
We just found out. Oh,
Oh no! Here we go.
I don't think we should talk
I
about
don't
it.
know.
then.
Yeah,
What
let's
is
wait
it?
on that.
So you really don't know the story about the submarine that went down to go see the Titanic imploding?
Oh my God. Where have you been
Where
living?
Have you been?
Wow.
There's a story out
Dealing
right
with
now.
an attorney and all this bullshit.
All
All right, I'll be really quick.
Please
So basically, 5 billionaires went down in a submarine, a submersible, down to see the Titanic, paid $250,000 each. It's been lost since Sunday. They thought that they had heard noises and that these huge rescue missions to go find them. Well, they just found the debris of
Yeah.
the submarine. I guess as it was diving right about when it hit the Titanic, it imploded, and all those really wealthy people died in a submarine
Yeah.
going to see the Titanic that had crashed.
Yeah.
It's a wild
huge.
story
Okay,
that
I
everyone's
gotta look this
following.
up.
It's
Yeah.
insane. But since you don't know about it, you're just now hearing, I don't think we should comment on it. We didn't know that they're basically running out of air is what everyone thought for the last 3 or 4 days. And they weren't running out of air. It's likely that they died within the first 2 hours while they were diving.
Yeah.
There was a whole breach and then the whole thing imploded under 6,000 PSI basically.
Fuck.
What was insane was that they didn't really even have a window to look at the Titanic.
Yeah.
They were just looking through a screen.
One small window.
One small
There's
window.
one. Yeah.
So you're going to pay that much money for one small window?
Well, someone put it to me well. It's like, would you do this? And if you put it in perspective, you're a billionaire. So let's call it $25
Yeah.
or $250 to us, the normal
Yeah,
human,
yeah.
right? Would you pay $25 to go down on a submarine and
course I
see
would.
the Titanic?
yeah.
I would
probably.
in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
And they'd be like, the thing is like, well, the risk. It's like, no, bullshit. If these guys are really knowledgeable, they've
Right.
done it several times before, it's been successful, and you have a chance to go see the Titanic for $25, I'm probably doing it. I'm probably signing
Yeah.
the waiver that says I'm going to die, just like I do when I go on skydiving or bungee jumping. I sign that waiver right away. I do it. It's like I could die. And so the answer is yes. And I'm guessing Travis saying the same thing. We
100%.
would do it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, tennis sucks. Thank
Tennis
you,
sure does
Selkirk.
suck.
Thank you, Sunday Swagger.
Thank you, Selkirk. Thank you, Sunday Swagger. New drop for Sunday Swagger for summer 2023. Insane. Happy to be associated. That's it.
Thanks, Luke.
Thank you.
Yep.